Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And this is a key date in the cycle of enrollment season. So November 1st is when a lot of schools start their open enrollment process for the coming school year. And we're featuring one of those schools today. So the School of Science and Technology today on November 1st opened up applications for the 2023-24 school year. And so to tell us all about SST, we have Abel De Leon, who's a great friend of the San Antonio Charter Moms team, and he has great experience at SST, going all the way from being a high school teacher up through director of marketing and communications, and now he's also the director of the SST Online Academy. So Abel, I'm so happy to be talking to you on Charter Mom Chats and spreading the word about SST, because it is the school that I picked for my own kids. So I can't help kind of like having my mom hat on as well.
Well, Inga, you've got great taste, let me say. No, but thanks for having me. It's an honor to be able to be here and hopefully getting to introduce what SST is to some new families that are out there striving for a better future, and they're looking to do that through education.
Yeah. So, well, can you talk more about like the motto of SST and kind of the mission and vision?
Yeah, definitely. So I think nothing says the mission better than the official handbook. A lot of time went into writing that, but really we can sum it up a lot quicker. But I want to say it as is. The School of Science and Technology drives academic and socio-emotional development through a college preparatory STEM-based learning model. SST's model is anchored in 21st century skills, embraced by a character building approach, and delivered in an enriching, safe, and student-centered learning environment with a vision of nurturing world-class scholars and ethical citizens to build a better future for us all. And it's not just about our mission and vision. SST, we're also a school of character. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. But because we're a school of character and actually designated a national district of character, the only one in Texas, spoiler alert, but we also believe in magic. And I know you're thinking, Inga, but science and magic, aren't those kind of like lifelong enemies? Never the twain shall meet. But at SST, we are School of Science and Technology. We do believe in magic. And we spell magic with moral compass, accountability, generosity, innovation, and citizenship. And so those are kind of our pillars of our community, and they're at the heart of all we do.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Abel. Yeah, it is very hard to sum up. And people have asked me like, well, like why did we pick SST? Partly it was the STEM education focus, but also like as I got to know SST, I felt like there were like so many details, like so many finer points of like treating how to treat people well, and paying attention to those little details, and it all adds up to a better experience that like it prepares kids for the future. And then while they're working so hard and setting such ambitious goals, they also feel safe, and they feel like they can trust their teachers, they can communicate with their teachers, they have relationships with their peers. And so that's like it's hard to sum up. As I know that mission statement has a lot of elements to it, but all of those come through in the experience that families have. So and then right, and there's the motto, like you kind of referenced this, like better education, better future. So I don't know, can you talk more
Yeah,
about what that means?
I'd love to. So better education, better future. One short statement that means so many things. First, before we get into what exactly better education, better future means, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't lead that answer out by mentioning that all SST schools in all cities that we operate in are currently rated either an A or a B, and both SST districts are A rated by the TEA. A rating, the highest rating you can get. And so we're proud to have those high ratings as a result of the effort of our teachers, students, and families, everybody working together. And I'll say that a better education, better future means exactly that, right? On one level, it means that if a child receives a better education, then they are likely to receive a better future, right? To experience a better future, because knowledge is power, Inga. We know that, and it empowers children to be able to make their dreams reality. And that's something that we mean when we say better education, better future. But it also means something bigger than that, right? It also means something bigger than any one individual. It also means that if we provide a better education for the youth of today, then our entire society will be better for it, right? Because if we can provide them with the knowledge and skills to attract those kind of high pay jobs out there, then high paid jobs and industries are going to be looking for those high skilled workers, and they're going to find them right here in San Antonio if SST has anything to say about it. And when that happens, there's going to be a broader job base. There's going to be a better tax base. There's going to be more opportunity for everyone. And that's another thing we mean when we say better education, better future, right? But even more than that, it also means that the future will be better because the leaders of the future will have the knowledge and skills needed to make well-informed decisions to overcome the obstacles of today and tomorrow. Things like sea level rise and climate change. Better education, better future means that a better education is the rising tide that's going to lift all boats for our community.
Right. So
And let me say, Inga, I'm realizing that's maybe nebulous, but let me bring it hyper focus here. Let me talk a little bit about a specific story. In college, I had a friend who was just terrified of doctors. Now I realize that's called white coat syndrome. It's a real thing. At the time, I just thought he was a humorous character. And he'd always tell me, like, I'm not going to the doctor, and I'd say, come on, you got to go to the doctor. And he'd tell me, no way, Abel, 50% of all doctors graduate in the bottom half of their class. Hospitals are a death trap. So he always used to say that. And I thought it was real funny. But now I realized that, he was just bringing up a great point, right? And he's really lending exact emphasis to what we mean by better education, better future, right? If we can provide a better education to the youths of today, they being the future, then in the future, we'll have better doctors and we'll be better served for it. We'll have better health outcomes. And so people like my friend wouldn't have to be afraid of going to the doctor and hospitals because he knows they received a world-class education and they're going to be able to help.
Right. Yeah, there's always a greater truth in jokes like that, right? Yeah, but it's like it's baked into like the values of SHR moms that we believe in parents and caregivers and that they're looking out for the children, that they're looking, that they want their children to have a better future, and education is a tool for that. So we're giving them the tools, the information, but like through that kind of self-interested, desire to like do what's best for your children, it also lifts up the whole community. And collectively, then right, we'll have engineers or civic leaders who can problem solve for the future, and that's really important because it is election season, early voting's happening, and families are concerned about what the future is going to be like for their children. It's been a tough few years, and I think we're all hoping to kind of turn that around. And well, I want to comment on like Abel, you speak with so much knowledge, and I kind of alluded this in the beginning of like you've had many different roles at SST, like as a teacher, and then like in marketing communications and the online school. So you could comment on like your different roles and kind of what that's taught you about SST, like along your journey, like even as a school leader of a bricks and mortar campus. Yeah.
I think that's a great question, Inga, and I'm excited to answer it. So I'll say I've had the good fortune to basically have every job under the SST roof. Let me say. So I started out as a teacher, teaching middle school and high school and advanced placement. Social studies was my subject of choice. And from there, I went on to become a dean of students, so health and safety, that kind of thing. After that, I went into dean of academics, which is about kind of our curricular structure and delivery mechanisms, how to make sure that the kids are able to pick up what we're putting down, let me say, right? And during that time, I was also able to serve as the coordinator for English as a second language, gifted and talented programs, special education. I was the campus and district testing coordinator, so I know a little bit about our testing things. Later, I was able to become a principal of an existing SST school. I learned a lot from my mentor principal, Mr. Keeley, one of our greats. And from there, they turned me loose on starting my own school. That's when I was the founding principal of SST Northwest, the Narwhal Nation. If anybody's watching from the Narwhal Nation, I miss you guys still, After that, I moved up here in 2020 to the central office to help with our marketing efforts. I'm proud to say we doubled in size that year. We went from about 5,000 students to about 10,000 students. It's just when there's a good opportunity out there, I think that the marketing person's job is easy, right? We just get to talk about it. And then now, in addition to being the marketing communications director, I'm also the director of SST Online, which is an exciting new thing, creating that way forward in the digital sphere and trying to make that happen. But what I will say in my swath of this career, one thing that I've learned about SST is that from the bottom to the top, soup to nuts, every person here is choosing every day to put their best foot forward, right? And to keep on going for those that we serve. When, a few years back, SST said that to support our community, we're willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. And I think truer words were never spoken about SST. The resilience of the human spirit is on full display in the halls of SST every day, and not just by our teachers, but by our students and by our parents. We're really fortunate to have so many people want to play a part in the story of SST and how it supports our community and how our community supports it. And I'll say, on a personal level, you know, SST just feels like home to me, and it's no surprise. I've told this story before, so I'll go through it as quickly as possible. But my mother's family, was a line of migrant farm workers, and my grandfather had a fourth grade education, but he knew that education was going to be the key to open all doors, he said. And so he committed to education, and he created a saying, said, even if we're only in town for 1 week, you'll all go to school. My aunts and uncles still repeat that when they get together. And the first new stop in every new town as they traveled across the United States picking crops was the local school. He'd enroll his 6 kids. And because of his commitment, he actually even went back to school himself, nights, weekends, whatever he could do. He got all the way through 8th grade from 4th grade just to prove to his family that it meant a lot to him. And he was going to prove that education was important. Right. And so, I think that that's amazing. And because of his commitment, all 6 of his children, my mother and her siblings, they all have at least a master's degree today, right? And that's amazing to me, to go from living on a dirt floor shack, making their own clothes out of potato and flour sacks, right, to now they're professionals and making good money and solidly in the middle class. And so I was able to be raised middle class, and I know that was powered by education, right? The education that my parents stuck by. My dad always used to tell me, he used to say, son, there's 2 things in this life you have to build up as much as you can, because they're the 2 things that make you who you are, and they're 2 things that no one can ever take away from you. So you got to invest in them and build them up. And he said, those 2 things are your character and your education. So no surprise, right, that now I feel right home in a school that talks about a better education towards a better future, and that no education is complete without character education, right? And so it is the honor of my purpose-driven life, let me say, to be able to serve in a school system that serves so many communities with so much need, full of people that are striving, like I say, for a better future through education. And it's such an honor to me to play a part in that. And it feels very fulfilling, and it is a purpose-driven life. I know that I can pay it forward, and I can help others use the same key that opened doors for my family and I, and they can use that same key to open the doors for their families. And so that's one of the things I value most about SST, is I've seen firsthand exactly the impact that what we're doing can have on people.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Abel. I want to reference. Oh, I should have mentioned this at the top, but the enrollment guide blog post for SST, that's at the top of the blog right now. It's at shrmoms.com, and in that blog post, it links to Abel's testimony that he wrote a couple of years ago, and it's one of the all-time great teacher tales posts that we have on our site. And he goes into more depth about his grandfather and his parents and aunts and uncles experience, like whatever city they landed in, and just how that echoes through the generations, that kind of commitment. And I commend that to everybody. I'll reshare it in the Facebook group just so it's at the top of because it's
thanks.
It's very moving. Yeah.
It moves me to read it too. Let me say, I always say I'm the least prestigious one in my family. Everybody's doing such big things, chasing their dreams. But for me, the prestige comes from helping others achieve big dreams like that.
Yeah. You're opening doors for a lot of kids and a lot of families. Yeah. Well, I want to go into like a little more specifics about as I imagine families are they have questions about well, do charter schools do this? Do charter schools do that? I know you mentioned that in you had roles involved in testing and GT and families may not realize that charter schools do offer services to special education students or to students who speak Spanish at home, and that's all part of the charter school experience because charter schools are public schools. So, but what are some of the core the core subjects that SST teaches and things like extracurriculars and sports that families may not realize that charter schools offer these things too.
Yeah. So Inga, great point. I think one of the things that surprises people still to this day, and I know charter schools have been around for a while, but not everybody is fully savvy on it yet. But I do get questions about what do you teach at charter schools, right? So you only teach computer coding? Is that what you do at School of Science and Technology? And I tell them no. So we are a public charter school, and in Texas, all charter schools are public charter schools, which means that all of the services that public schools are required to offer, ESL, GT, 504, special education, all of those things, we offer them as well. And so we're taking the state tests, right? So when I say that SSTs are A and B rated, and that we're A-rated districts, those ratings are based on the same things that any public school would be rated on. And so we're proud to be earning those ratings with even less funding, honestly, than traditional public schools. And so that's something that I'm proud of. But I'll say the kind of key difference in charter schools and traditional public schools isn't so much in what we teach necessarily. It's a lot in the how we teach. And now there is some departure, right? Because we do teach all the core subjects. We teach the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. You may have heard them called TEKS. So all of the TEKS, that is what the state of Texas says students must know, and that is what schools are charged with teaching. We make sure to teach all of that. But instead of using that as the whole cake, we use that as just the base of the cake, if you want to think of it that way, right? And then we want to flavor our cake up with sprinkles and frosting and all kinds of things. And to a school, sprinkles and frosting looks like extracurricular activities, clubs, elective courses and things like that. Even passion projects that are independently selected by students during core subjects, right? That's all part of the extra cherry on top of what we try to provide as a charter school. And so some of the things that we do at SST are STEM related, right? Because we're a STEM education and we believe in that. So we believe in teaching computer coding, and we start doing that in kindergarten. We believe in robotics. We teach robotics. We have a solar sprint car team at the high school. Our kids are building a full-size solar car for the Solar Sprint Challenge. All kinds of amazing things like that, right? They're making their own video games and things. And I believe that by exposing our students to STEM knowledge, STEM fields, STEM tools, what we're doing is we are getting them the exposure that makes them feel comfortable around it, right? And so I've heard it said that if you grew up during the time when the internet was a thing, that you're considered a digital native, and digital natives are said to be more comfortable and confident with technology. They're more savvy with computers and things like that because we grew up using it, so we're more comfortable with it. And I can say certainly with the kind of questions my parents asked me to help them on computers, I could say that it did make a difference for me being a digital native than what I see my parents kind of struggling with computers a little more. And that same thing, right? We can extrapolate that out one more step, and we can say, well, why just digital natives, right? We can expose our kids to coding, programming, and they'll be coding and programming natives. And we know that the big high pay, high prestige jobs of the 21st century, they're STEM jobs. That's what it is, right? Soon the only job will be fixing machines. So everybody, I'm just kidding. Listen, that's years from now. Okay. Humans still have inherent value and we're going to do big things. But by exposing our students to those things, we're making them comfortable with it, and they're going to be better served for the rest of their lives because they will have knowledge and skills that will make them great candidates for those high pay, high prestige jobs. But what's more, even better than that, we talked about electives, after school clubs and things like that. And I think that delivering it through that kind of methodology, instead of just like a pure delivering it through core subjects. Now we're in science, so we're going to learn some science stuff. Now we're in math, right? By putting it together like that, we allow kids to engage with these high level concepts through what we call purposeful play, right? With purposeful play, playing with things, doing dangerous things carefully, I've heard it described as, right? And so that's the way kids have learned since the dawn of time, right? Back in the caveman days, kids would poke at the fire and realize, oh, that burnt me. What does that do? Let me throw things on there and see what burns and what doesn't. And you learn those lessons for life. I know I once spilt some boiling water on myself, and I learned never to touch a boiling pot of water. To this day, I'm not touching the boiling pot of water. And so, deep learning can happen through play. And that's what I think is really great about being able to incorporate some of these STEM things in after school clubs and different electives like that.
Yeah, I know for my kids, having the STEM subjects, like, in, like, their elective classes and then be able to stay after school for the extracurriculars, for the clubs, like, it really increased their engagement and their motivation. Like, it made them feel like every day at school, they were doing things that felt meaningful to them for what they talked about as their dream jobs, their dream careers, and the fact that so much of it is project-based means that they're really proud to, like, show, like, "Oh, look what I made, look what I made." Like, they'll show me a demo or, like, tell me stories about, it's like my son is in the ACE mentoring club, which is great because there's so much
Nice.
community involvement, from, like, the architects, the builders, the engineers, and they're coming in and talking with the kids and guiding them, and they give these presentations, and, it's amazing. Like, it makes going to school so much more meaningful to them, and that's something I've heard. That's something we experience, and I've heard from other families, is that, like, COVID broke a lot of the bonds and the relationships between the families and students and what was happening on campus. And the project-based learning and the electives, extracurriculars, it's rebuilding those bonds, and it's very much part of SST culture, right? Like,
Mhm.
like, through the Parent Square app, there's lots of communication. There's the home visit program, and
Mhm.
so there's a very deliberate effort, right? There's, meetings on campus where parents are welcome. There's lots of, like, festivals and, sports events and things that we're like, families really feel like they can come to campus and they can be part of the culture.
Those are all great points, Inga. I agree 100% with all of them. I think you can also kind of sum that concept up a little bit by saying something like, I think project-based learning takes STEM and makes it real, right? It takes the education and it makes it real. It sets it squarely in the real world so that kids never have to ask, why are we learning this, right? I remember being in eighth grade algebra and asking my teacher, why do I have to learn this? Like, what even is algebra? I didn't get it and I struggled with it. And I'll never forget her answer. It was, "You want to pass my class, don't you, Mr. Leone?" And I learned
Ooh.
something at that moment. Inga, I learned that algebra is not a real thing and it has no real world applications. And apparently, you just have to learn it to prove that you're one of the ones who deserves a school degree. Got it, ma'am. And I'll memorize it for the test and move on. Right. But project-based learning makes it to where kids never have to ask that, because why you're learning it is inherent in what you're doing. And then you mentioned home visits. And I think that's great, kind of a lateral move there, because it's kind of like, whereas project-based learning takes the learning into the real world, home visits takes the school into your real life, right? So home visit allows us to connect with our families in a way that before maybe was a little more unprecedented, right? Like, usually when you think of meeting with the teacher, you think of it's a meet the teacher night. All the parents are going to be there in the school, and you're lucky to maybe get 5 to 10 minutes talking to the teacher. You're waiting in line, right? And you're on the school's turf, right? Like, you're coming to them and they're the ones sitting behind the big desk and you're the one sitting on the little kids chairs talking to the teacher, right? And so home visit, I think, allows us to sit on a more equal footing, and really get to know our families on a deep level so that we can really figure out what can we do to best help them.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing I wanna ask about, like, so you talked about, like, things like solar car and, like, robotics, and so I think one of the key things about the SSC campuses is they have spaces built, and there's been, like, so much growth and so much building going on lately, but I was wondering if you could talk about, like, what, like, I encourage families, like, go visit a campus, go see for yourself, because, like, you'll, even just in the structure of the building, you can see evidence of, like, why this is a different way to do education. But I was wondering if you could comment on, like, what are some of those spaces that really stand out when a visitor comes to an
Yeah,
SSD campus?
definitely. So Inga, especially talking about SST College Prep, which is the new building for the SST High School out there, right? It used to be SST San Antonio. I'll say anyone who knew us before that building and knew the humble beginnings of SST in that old furniture store along 410, right? Like, the first thing they're going to notice is that, wow, there is so much space. Like, the school is wide open. We were told by our architects and by so many people, like, I've never seen a school designed like this. You guys are making these huge hallways, wide and luxurious, and big classroom stuff. Most people want to use every square inch of the building to fit more kids and more classrooms and things. And so I think that's one of the first things they'll notice is this school was designed for the end user experience in mind. It wasn't designed to be able to fit more kids in and maybe like increase profitability so we can do more programs or something. We're a nonprofit entity, so that's not what we're trying to do, right? Now we want to have as many kids as we can because we're trying to deliver as many kids as we can a better education towards a better future. But I think the first thing they would notice is that, wow, this is a big, beautiful, state-of-the-art building, complete departure from what we had before. And for those of us in the know, on the inside of the SST family, I'll say, I think that the stark difference in those two buildings really represents what you can do when you put your mind to it, right? When great people put great effort towards great goals, great things happen. That's something that I've always said, and I know that it applies here. But after they kind of get over the brain burst of seeing this campus versus our last one, I think they notice the gym is one of the big gyms, let me say. The GYM is more of a GEM because it's big and beautiful, and it is big enough for us to host basketball and volleyball games and even tournaments on our own campus. That's something we couldn't really do before. We had to play all our games away because we had such a small little basketball kind of court that we'd play volleyball onto. But now that's a thing of the past, and we're able to really take our place as one of the schools competing in sports. And that's something, people think, oh, do charter schools compete in sports? Walking into SST, there's no doubt, right? We've got the big gym. We've got all kinds of teams. We're doing soccer, cross country, volleyball, basketball, you name it. I think another big thing they notice in all of our schools is the makerspace. But at SST College Prep, that big modular makerspace, it's the first of its kind. It's modular, which will allow us to kind of open the walls completely up during things like our STEM Fest, where we invite the whole community out to see the big STEM, projects and everything the kids have been working on, doing that kind of stuff. But even more than all that, I think the main thing that they do notice, even more than the building, is the heart of the school. We say SST is the small school with the big heart. We're getting bigger, better buildings, so we're going to have to start saying we're a medium school with the big heart. But it feels like family, and that's I think what people notice more than anything. And this may sound strange, Inga, and at the risk of sounding corny, I want to say that one of the things that they really noticed about SST is something that I've really noticed about SST since the beginning, and it's that there's a lot of love at SST schools. We love each other. We love to learn. We love to be together and pursue our personal dreams and our lives. So I think that community is something that people really think about. And one other thing that I'll say is that I think that education anywhere really feels like you're going somewhere in life, right? Like you're getting educated. It feels like you're going somewhere in life. But education at SST schools feels like you're going exactly where you want your life to go and sharing it with like-minded friends and family, right? And I think that's more than anything else, the thing that I think people take away from visiting SST schools.
Yeah, I hear it in the feedback. So like I'm lucky to have family that lives in town and helps with like drop off and pick up, and comes to events, and like so I think like there's like sort of a college night coming up, and my mom's gonna come with me, and but it like so I get feedback from the extended family about their interactions with SST, and they comment about like how polite the teachers are, how friendly, how welcoming, and that like when we come to meet the teacher, they want to know the whole family. It's like they know it's not just the nuclear family; it's like it's the whole support network that makes things happen. And that means a lot to me because like I visit a lot of schools, and like people, I'm not anonymous when I come on a campus, but how I know how people treat my parents tells me like this is how they treat everybody. This is how they treat regular folks. And they and my parents are from a different generation, so they have a different expectation about what school is like, and it's very meaningful to them, and they pick up on the culture. And actually, that leads into my next question, which is like you mentioned that about the National School of Character, National District of Character. So I was wondering if you could talk more about that, because I feel like that banner is a signifier of like what's happening, like the human experience, how people are treating each other.
Yeah, no, 100%, Inga, and thanks for bringing that up. Being a school of character and even a national district of character is something that we're very proud of, and so I'd love to address that for a moment. I think that we discussed just a bit ago that at SST we believe that a better education leads to a better future, and we believe that because we're working so hard to deliver our kids that better education, we know that they're going to receive that better future. And that better future is going to look like leadership roles in organizations and cities and communities. And knowing that's the case, we feel we have an ethical obligation to make sure that the leaders of tomorrow are also going to be ethical leaders who are able to solve the problems of the future and be the leadership that the future communities need. And we're proud to have so many of our schools designated as state schools and even national schools of character. But something that really swells our hearts with pride is that we were designated as a national district of character, which is the highest honor and prestige that character.org can give to a school. Very few national schools of character in this world. And in the great state of Texas, there is only one right now, and it's SST. And so if you're interested in character education, if you're interested in that stuff, I think this is a good time for me to mention that, SST has also been a proud one of the founding members of Texas Character Education Week, which is coming up on November 14th through 18th. It is Character Education Week. That's through a proclamation by the governor of Texas himself. And this year we've got so many partners from ISDs, private schools, other charter schools, even other nonprofit organizations and things. And so if you want more information about that, go check out thecharacterweek.com. There are many character weeks, but this is the Character Week of Texas. Okay. And I see Inga's got it down here at the bottom. Thank you, Inga. But come join us out there. We've got a lot of VIP speakers going to be leading a lot of breakout sessions. This is a time to really get inspired about what great character can do, not just for individuals, but for our community. The more of us, and I say this a lot, right? But the world can be a better place. It starts with all of us being better as individuals through an adherence to ethics. And so to be named schools of character and a national school of character is just one more bit of evidence that shows the kind of things we've been doing. SST has been teaching character education since 2005. Inga, people think that maybe it's a new thing for us because, the new House bill is requiring now character education to be in schools. And we think that's great. We believe that no education is complete without character. But back in 2005, it's actually in our initial charter that we're going to teach character education. We used to call it CHED, Character Educational Development. Back then, it was taught by individual teachers as a specific class. Now, through the help of character.org and their 11 principles, we've become more savvy about how to really incorporate the principles of ethics and character into our schools. And so now we embed it into everything we do, more like how we treat STEM, which I think is great because it's a more well-rounded approach that lets children see that every opportunity is a chance to be good to somebody and make a difference for the better.
Yeah, and this goes back to something you said earlier, which is that like the experience of right, like education is about moving forward. It's about trying to plan for your future. But like the experience of being part of the SST community is the feeling that you're doing it with people you care about and people who treat each other well. And that's helping to shape what kind of leaders we want our kids to be in the future. So they're not going to be a bunch of mad scientists blowing things up, right? They're going to be problem solving about how to make the quality of life better with the knowledge and the problem solving skills that they have.
Exactly. There'll be a bunch of mad scientists keeping things from blowing up.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of mad scientists, like the fact that now there's all these online schools, right? So now SST also offers an online school. So what can you share about that? Because that's new this school year, right?
Yeah, this is the first year of it. The most significant thing that I should say is that they've got a top-notch principal. I'm just kidding. It's me. I'm the director of SST Online Academy. I'm excited to be at the helm of it and to be kind of guiding it through this initial year. We're really trying to build something special here and really trying to offer it in areas where there maybe isn't a whole lot of choice or maybe no choice, right? Some of those rural areas that do fall within our geographic boundaries. And one of the things I'm real proud of is that, a lot of times people out in those areas, the reason that they only have one choice is because, geographically, like they say, geography is destiny, right? And so they're further from those schools. They can't traverse that distance on the daily. And also another thing is that out in those rural areas, a lot of time there's not high-speed internet. That's something that we know. And that's something that's really driving a wedge in American society, and something we need to get a grip on, right? We need equal access to internet. And so SST Online is really, I'm excited to let you know that everyone who successfully enrolls at SST Online Academy receives both a Chromebook to be able to do the work and access the internet, and a high-speed Verizon Wi-Fi hotspot, so that they have every opportunity to engage with our curriculum. There's no excuse not to receive a world-class education through SST. We're willing to send it right into your child's bedroom, to your living room. You tell us where you want it. We're sending you the Wi-Fi hotspot and the computer. You could do it out of your car during a family trip. Education can be anywhere now, and that's something exciting in this bold new future of digital schools, right? Right now, SST Online is in its infant stage, right? We're just first year starting up. We're only serving 5th and 6th grade right now. So 5th and 6th graders. And the curriculum, excited to let you know, that is being delivered through a partnership between 2 STEM leaders in the great state of Texas, a School of Science and Technology, obviously, and Texas Tech. Texas Tech University, TTU K-12, has partnered with us, and we're providing world-class education. And when I say world-class here, I mean it literally. TTU K-12 is offered worldwide to students worldwide, and we're excited to be able to offer that service to our students completely tuition-free. SST covers the cost of everything. Your job is to learn as much as you can and pick that bright future that you're headed towards. So SST Online, a great opportunity. And if you want to know more about SST Online, if you go to sstschools.org, there's an Our Schools tab up there. If you click on that, you can see the online school to the far right. I was going to let you know a little bit about, our bell schedule and things like that. And if you're interested in SST Online or any of SST schools, just give us a call, reach out. Like we were saying at the top of this interview, right now, open enrollment has begun. This is the first day. And it is a shorter window than ever before. Right now, it is just a 6-week window. So if you're looking to apply at SST, you should definitely do so between November 1st and December 15th. That's going to be your opportunity to win a spot in our enrollment lottery, which is going to happen on January 4th. So January 4th will be the actual lottery. And so you definitely want to apply before that. Remember that if you don't apply during the open enrollment, if you don't apply during this window, then your application won't have a chance to win a spot in the lottery, and it'll be put at the end of the wait list in the order received. And so the sooner the better, and we're accepting applications now.
Yeah. Oh, Abel, that's a great summary. I'm going to put the website link up on the screen again. It says sstschools.org. People can explore like where the schools are, right? So there's 254 counties in Texas, all of which can receive Great Hearts Online, can receive SST Online. But to access the bricks and mortar schools, that's only in the San Antonio area, Corpus Christi, and Houston for now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's where folks can explore like where the schools are located, and that's got the link to the application, so they can click on enroll now. And then that is, starting today, they can fill out the application, and then the best chance is to apply before December 15th, because then the application will be entered in the lottery. Any applications that come in after the lottery get added to the waiting list, and some of those students will get offers before school starts, but having been there, I know it's a little nerve-wracking to be on the waiting list. Like you want to know what's going to happen for next year. So so any tips for families who want to like learn more about a campus? I encourage everybody to follow on social media. There's lots of great information on, gives you a glimpse into kind of campus life, like what students are doing at the first robotics team and things like that. But what's your advice for families who want to learn more about SST?
Yeah, sure. For families that want to learn more about SST, I think a great place to start is the San Antonio Charter Moms website, where families can find an amazing enrollment guide and all types of information on the options available to you. You know, at SST, we always say no school's right for every single child, right? And SST may not be right for your child and your family, but we want you to be empowered with the knowledge of who we are and what the other schools are offering that are available to you. And we don't lose if you don't pick SST, right? We only lose if you don't pick the school of best fit for your child. Because remember, a better education does lead to a better future. We really believe that, right? So start with the SA Charter Moms website. That's a great place. Another great place to find out information about us is at the SA Charter Mom School Discovery Days. We've signed up for those. SST is going to be in attendance at those. And so you can find out about SST and all the other great options in San Antonio in one place. And those are kind of all around town, I know, Inga. So whatever side of town you're on, there's going to be a school discovery day for you with not only SST, but all kinds of great opportunities, right? Now, apart from the San Antonio Charter Moms, we also encourage people to check our social media. We're active on Facebook, and we have discussion groups for each school. We have the Facebook page. That's a great way to get an idea of kind of the day-to-day happenings at the school and how we operate. A great way is to take a tour of the school. We really encourage you to do that. There's no way to really feel the atmosphere like taking a tour. And right now, great news, all SST schools in every city we serve, so any SST campus, will be given tours every Thursday at 10 a.m. And one Saturday a month. So every month we're going to have at least one Saturday open house. Just got to contact your campus of choice and they can let you know when that is. But any Thursday at 10 a.m., go ahead and call up the school. Let them know you want to take that tour and we'll get you on that next tour next Thursday at 10 a.m. Of course, check out our website, sstschools.org. I know Inga's been so kind as to put it up a few times. So hopefully you've already gone to that website. You got it open in another window right now, and you're thinking, I'm about to go check that out as soon as this interview is done. I'm so enthralled with what's going on the screen. But no matter how you reach out, the important thing is that you do, right? And that you do between November 1st and December 15th. Because here's the thing. If you apply to SST schools and you feel like, wow, I really like what I've seen so far, but I'm a real turn over every stone parent, and I hope you are. That's great. And you think, I don't have all the information yet. I want all the information before I even apply. To those people, I would say, listen, set up a tour, talk to a registrar, talk to an administrator, reach out and talk to me. I like to think I'm one in a million, but my email address says I'm just A. DeLeon at sstTX.org. I'm happy that is my email address, adeleon at sstTX.org. If anybody wants to know anything about any of the campuses, I'd be happy to serve as a reference for you, as somebody who can help point you in the right direction. But really, don't wait to have all the information before putting in your application. Remember that if you receive a spot in our enrollment lottery, you have 10 days to accept it, and you're going to choose if you accept it. And if you choose not to, then you don't, and it's no harm, no foul. But it is important that if you think that there's at all a chance that you would want to attend an SST school, or you want your children to attend, let me say, that you apply as soon as possible. That's the best advice I can give you.
Yeah. No, Abel, that's great advice. Thanks for sharing your email. And the registrars that I've interacted with they're very friendly, and they demystify. I'm going to encourage you. The applications are really short, like a charter school application. It's not like a college application. It's not like a private school application. It's really short. Like, you don't have to prove that your kid is smart. They take all kids, including kids with special needs. And it's just, go ahead and get the applications in. You can apply to multiple schools and then keep doing your research. Keep going on school tours, talking to friends and family, and just see how it fits with you. Cause it really is, it's a very individual decision to each family. And people ask me, oh, what's the best school in San Antonio? I'm like, there's no best school, but I mean, there are some excellent schools. And then you just have to find out what resonates with you. Where do you feel like you're going to be part of the community, and it's going to help your kids reach their goals, and, help you as a family, say, okay, these are the partners we need to get our kids where we want them to be.
No, Inga, great point. And so to that, I want to say maybe as a final thought here, I want to say to the San Antonio Charter Moms audience, to those people that you're mentioning that are asking you, what's the best schools in San Antonio? Where's the place to go? To all those people, to anyone watching live now, or maybe you're watching this as a recording, I want to commend you. I want to commend you for taking time out of your busy day. We all know life goes on and there's a million things you could be doing right now, but instead you've chosen to be here with us to find out about education and to learn more about what might be a better fit for your child. I can tell you from my firsthand experience, if it wasn't for Rogerio Gil and his commitment to education, I wouldn't be where I am today, right? I see my amazing life, and see, I get choked up even thinking about it, because I feel like my life is an embarrassment of riches. I'm living my dream, and I credit that to one person's commitment to education and spreading it to his entire family. And I know that you here today and in the future watching the recording, you're that Rogerio Gil for your family. And your thoughts, your deeds, your research, your actions, and your commitment to education will pay dividends. It's going to serve your family well. And the reward, I can tell you this, is going to be a better future through better education. And that's what we provide at SST. So if you're interested in that, please consider SST among your options.
Thank you, Abel. Yeah, I get emotional about this too, because I feel like when parents are choosing a school for their kids, it's an act of love, because it's, we're wanting, and I know that for my kids, like like it's not been a straight line path. There's been some bumps in the road, and just knowing that we have SST as a partner, and how much the teachers care who interact with my kids every day, it really means a lot to me. So
it means a lot to me, Inga, that you are one of our constituents and you believe in what we do, right? Nothing means more than that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, we'll close this off, because I know Abel and I could talk about this all day.
How's this getting started, Inga? What about the second half?
I know, but yeah, I'm excited about having SST at School Discovery Day. So the next one is at Opie Schnabel Park on November 12th, and so that's near the SST Hill Country, Northwest, and Discovery campuses. So, and I look forward to going to more campus visits, ribbon cuttings, things like that. So there's lots of great things happening at SST.
Oh, definitely. And I'm looking forward to you being at those two, Inga. And I'm looking forward to having a table at OP Schnabel at that School Discovery event. So we'll see you guys out there.
All right. See you then. All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Abel. Okay, bye.